Okay, guys, welcome back to another Sector Void episode. We are currently outside Planet Noble. The factions of Sector Void are about to have a large-scale, all-out war against a fleet of powerful Yugo battle cruisers and their main command ship. Along with the slight update in rules, I have also updated just the character sheet on changing qualities to perks based on my new rules. I have a video that I released before this one if you wanted to uh, check on that one just to verify what I've changed in the rules. Mainly, it has to do with checks and perks. Kind of made the other cards a little more legible for you guys. I was writing on the wrong side, so I thought I'd write them out more so on the line side. NPC list, locations, and factions. But right now, what matters is we need to find a way to uh, get Yugo to basically defeat Yugo. So, where we left off exactly, Yugo's on approach, factions are preparing for conflict, for defenses based on the role we did. And I think that our character, Lex, in the lexicon, he's going to have an advantage with his cloaking device, as does Stargreen and the unfortunate ally, Riley Gambit. We basically have to find a way to get in to. We got to find which command ship or which ship Xerox is in because he might not even be in the command ship, but we need to verify. And whichever ship he's in, using the jammer, then we'll be able to. I think Lex is going to go in himself, or at least with Star Green, and go on foot inside of one of these ships and find them to probably. Again, I have a few ideas what to do, but I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to go that far just yet. Okay, so my position is a little better, more just at an angle. That's just how I write. All right, so Yugo's on approach. Factions are preparing. We are going to us three, Starship, the Riley, not Riley. He's part of the. Sorry, Rowan is part of the factions as far as the lineup. Lexicon Speeder 5 and Riley. Riley is going to activate their cloaking. But first, let's activate cloaking for us. So Lexicon activates cloaking, and so does, well, let's see. Let's roll to see what Star wants to do. We can roll for it. I think 75% chance Star wants to follow our lead and roll and activate cloaking too to join us for this little escapade. 75% chance I roll within. He definitely does. 19. So Star activates cloaking, which means it's down to Riley, Riley Gambit. So Lex is going to radio Riley and ask him what his plan is to what his plan is because he can either activate cloaking, join us, or he can activate the jammer and be part of the fight. I'm trying to figure out what he would do as a fairly aggressive person character. Let's roll for this. I'm 50-50 on this. I'm not too sure. Does Riley Gambit of the Grey Merchants want to pursue aggressively against Hugo using brute force, laser blasts flying around? Or does he want to go stealth and join us to infiltrate whichever ship Xerox is in? So I think I'm going to lean more as far as the first 1 to 50% is does he want to go aggressive and not team up with us? 50% chance of that. Okay, luckily 96. I was actually kind of hoping for this one. So that's a no, which means he will join us. Lex radios. It's not exactly a term for space, but I'm going to use it now. Radios Riley They're going to team up and use the jammer basically to finds which ship Xerox is on. Xerox is the commander of the Yugo fleet, not the big boss of Yugo. I don't want to confuse you guys. He is simply the commander of this fleet that is on this mission to take over, have authority over Sector Void. So he's probably one of many commanders at their disposal. Find Xerox, which which ship Xerox is on. Now, Lex will say jokingly, well, most likely he's on the big one. No doubt about that. So we need to roll with we're cloaked. Riley is. Oh, we got to roll if Riley's cloaked. I think he does have that capability, but is Riley cloaked at the moment? I say 80% chance. He is. Okay, 30. He is cloaked at the moment. So I'm gonna put a little arrow here. Riley is also cloaked. I don't know the name of his ship. He didn't really. We didn't really get to that in the last AI episodes. Yeah, dungeon episodes, but I am going to make up a name. It's just a code name for a ship. It's easier to keep track, so I don't just keep calling him Riley's ship. I could just call us by our names, Riley. We'll just do that. If there's a moment we need to name a ship, his ship mainly, we will do that. But I believe we'll go by our character names. Okay, so Riley is cloaked. He's with us. He needs to activate the device, the jammer. So, but we need to roll per my new rules. It is chaotic. So, a chaos roll, a chaos check. If the situation's rather chaotic, they must roll. Then you must roll against the GM. Similar rules as before, but the GM also rolls a d20. Now, my character, he's good at piloting, so I have an advantage for this, and that's a perk. Now, for perks, it's also a perk check on top of that. If the action is relevant to one of your perks, add an additional d20. Use the sum against the roll per perk. So I get to roll two d20s, the standard d20, and then the additional perk d20. And luckily, I do have two d20s here against the GM's d20 because it's chaotic. It is not a set difficulty. We're basically rolling to see if we can fly cloaked um, through the Yugo fleet, at least with fighters. I'm going to say there's fighters. We are flying. Us three are flying past Yugo fighters. So think again, a lot of similarities here to the Return of the Jedi, where the rebellion is basically on their way to Death Star, but there's just hundreds of TIE fighters. So just picture that scene right there coming out of Yugo's command ships and main battle cruisers. So passing are flying past Yugo fighters. Okay, so we have to roll for this. Okay, remember this is the sum against the GM, who we are also playing as. Okay, can I get a good roll here? All right, and so we barely nudged the win. So that's a 9. That's another 9. That's really ironic. I got two nines, and thankfully, with my rules, that's 17. We are barely able to get through the difficulty of 17, which is very hard, nearly very hard, based on my rules. So 9, that's 18, 17. We are barely able to get through. Our cloaking is imperfect, but we're able to get past the fighters as they are busy with the factions. So fighters are occupied with the factions. They are just being not overrun, but they are all occupied. They are all uh, having dogfights with some other individual, some other faction fighter. but we barely get through. I say there's a couple close calls. Probably we bumped into somebody, but we got past the first line of defense that Yugo most likely launched on us. Okay, now we're en route and we are cloaked, so we're basically covered along with all the disaster going behind us. So Yugo's fleets, our cloaking is so advanced. Again, it's just been carried over from AI Dungeon that they cannot see us, and we are not. Uh, we cannot be caught on radar, any form of radar or sensors, I should say, if I'm thinking sci-fi here. So on top of that, we need to roll. Well, there might not be a roll per se, but let's roll to see if Riley can get his device, the jammer, activated properly. So I'm going to put a difficulty on for this one because now we have a set difficulty. We're en route. We're going straight to the Yugo fleet of ships, and the difficulty for this one would I say would be, let's say 7. Okay. Let me get my let's get a little saucer back here. All right, so we got to roll 7 or higher. 11. It goes to 11. So which means that Riley is able to activate, and yes, we did roll for an NPC, but Riley activates the jammer. Now, which means narratively that we were close enough between the line of the fighters, Yugo fighters, and the line of the Yugo starships, their vessels. That line, all the fighters against the factions, right here. A couple of big faction ships, obviously. All these little dozens of fighters, and then how many ships were there? There was about let's see. Yugo has one command ship and 10 battle cruisers. So one giant ship, and then you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, of the smaller star destroyers of Yugo. So there's the main command ship, and that's where we believe Yugo is currently, where Xerox is stationed, most likely. But our characters are right about here. Those 3 dots right there, and we're not camouflaged. We're cloaked, and we activated the jammer. That jammer, thanks to Turk, as a spy he is now jamming communications and disrupting Yugo's fleet. So now they're going. Now Yugo is going erratic. The fighters are scrambling. They lost communication with their basically with their hive. Um, and let's roll to see a narrative roll. I'm now thinking of an idea. Um, what are the chances that all these fighters are actually robotic, that they're not manned by individual people? 50-50. I don't know. Are these fighters AI driven? Are they all run by ChatGPT? Let's see. 50% chance. They're not. They are run by individuals. So they have just an army of fighter pilots, but they lost communication, and now their sensors are going haywire because Turk, Tark um, messed with the jammer to extend its capabilities, and now it's able to do more than just jam communications. It is disrupting controls. The fighters are going crazy. They're losing control. The ships are taking note of this. They're not communicating between each other, but the ships are pretty idle. The command ship is taking note of this. That they lost communication. With that now enabled, we also, again, plot device, that the jammer is literally a plot device in this part. The jammer, let's, so I got to keep notes of this stuff. The jammer messed with Yugo so operations, essentially. Now, the jammer also has this third perk where it can locate Xerox. Somehow his presence is located, it can be located on what ship. And I think 90% chance that he is on the command ship. Let's roll. 90% chance he is on the command ship. That is a solid one, which means he is definitely the command ship. And Lex is like, yeah, we know. So Jammer Xerox is basically his heat signature or camera feed, whatever, security feed. Xerox is literally on the command ship in the main uh, we call the deck. So the captain's deck, captain on deck kind of thing. Just trying to remember some Star Trek references here on the command deck. So we know this. Okay, so with that in mind, Xerox. I'm gonna say that just leaning back in my chair thinking, Star is going to find a way. His ship is the fastest, the Speeder 5. Find a way in through the shields. The jammer, most likely the shields have been temporarily not deactivated but weakened. So they're going to find a way past the second line of defense to get to the command ship. Riley and our character Lex will follow in suit. They managed to get through the first line. So we rolled already for the fleet, for the fighters. Now we got to roll to get through this line, the second line of defense, which is the ships, the ten battle cruisers. Now this one it will be a controlled roll because a price what was it called? My rules here a action check. So because they are all jammed and they're having problems with their controls with their instruments, they can't play the right tune. We're rolling basically uh, and this is also piloting, so we get the two sum roll. We're rolling against, I say, a difficulty of 10. It's easy, so but it's not super easy. It's just 10 is probably I say 10 is probably easy. You know, I noticed I have my ranks a little off. I'm gonna adjust something. So I had 5 as very easy, or 2 is very easy. I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. 10 is normal. I'm sorry, 10 is normal. We're gonna go with 10. We'll still keep it normal. Okay, here we go. This is the sum roll. Yeah, we're fine. So 18 against 10. We are able to pass the second line of defense. This is the first of fighters. So we pass through. We're expertly cruising around, not being seen. No reflection of our cloaking device. We pass through, and Riley is able to pass through himself with his jammer still active. So the jammer is still active now. It's more so here. But because of that, the jammer loses distance and the fighters are back in play. So they had their temporary issue has been they regain controls. The fighters are back. Uh, so due to distance, uh, jammer put a little in a little parentheses here. The fighters regain control of their task of their mission. So now they are continuing their onslaught on the faction. But now we got through the line of battle cruisers en route to Hugo command ship. And so, oops, command shape ship. Okay, so with that in mind, we're now basically probably on the side here. Star is just using his experience to find a vantage point, find a weak spot in the ship, where to dock, where to go. And I think what he's thinking is that it has to be one of them to go in. And so Star volunteers. He says he will go in there and find Xerox and take him out. And then Lex will say, I'm coming with you. You can't do that alone. Riley, though, I don't think he would go in. I think this is where he cowers he cowards and flies off. This is the point. I had my I think I had a Dragon Ball Z reference here, but this is from the Namek Saga, the Ginyu Force episodes, where after Goku arrives, Vegeta was preparing to fight alongside Goku, but this is where Vegeta takes off. So, but let's roll for it. So this will be a 50, I think more of a 30% chance that Riley's going to join them. This is where he chickens out. So let's see, 30% chance he joined. Yeah, he's not. So uh, Riley chickens out, or chickens. I mean, they probably call it that, but Riley chickens out. Flies off. We lose communication with him. He's out. So this is a big little moment right here. Now it's just Lex and Star. But to be honest, both of us are like, we probably yell, Riley, you bastard, because Riley has the jammer, but he fucked us over on this one. Pardon my French. He he bolted, but he had the jammer. So now that the jammer's gone, it is no longer affecting the ship. So jammer is no longer in effect. And so that's one problem. I think Lex is going to, while Star's looking for a vantage point, we're circling around this point. Probably right about here. Lex radios, hails, Maximus, tells him about Riley, but also, but also that we are next to command ship. So we know that Maximus is a big guy, no BS. He says, "Fuck that guy. Just get into that ship and find Xerox, and let's get this done with." So Star agrees. They end the call, and let's see if Star finds a vantage point at least in the first two sides of the ship we flew by. So I'm gonna say 75% chance we find a vantage point. Yep, 15. So Star finds a let's say a docking area in the probably I'm gonna say if the ship is like, let's see, if the ship is like this, if I'm thinking of that Vader's ship, if it looks like that, let's say it has a it's like that. If it is like Vader's ship, that's just a reference. It's not exactly what it looks like, but it probably has two bigger engines on the side like that, and then it probably has a little fin in the back, two gigantic like your exhaust, and then make it a little more evil looking. There we go. Something stupid like that. So we are flying around and we see that there's a docking area just right here. Pretty small, not that big, it's just a little highlight of it. So obviously a big guarded, but we're cloaked. The jammer gone, the shields are probably back up. So I'm gonna say area on the side, but it is let's see if it is guarded. Most likely it is, so 75% chance. It is guarded. 15 again. So, but guarded. Lex gets a little beep on his. He gets a little flashing red light, and he said gets a notification. Well, not a notification. He gets the sensors say that their shields are back up. So uh, Yugo's shields are back up, and that's bad. So how are we going to fly in when the shields are out? Now, I don't want to do any ass pull in this part. I'll be like, oh, Stargreen has this little. He has a access card he stole off. The thing is, remember, Star Green did venture out to Noble to kind of get a an advantage to survey the entire Yugo fleet. Yugo was not entirely prepped yet. They weren't in this formation the minute we dropped out of war. So Star Green did go uh, when we had that episode where we were looking for the Starship Marauders. Now they're called the Guild, the Starship Guild, the Red Cross of Space. And we found him. We found him in an outpost. That's where Star showed up. Star didn't reveal much about his little escapade, but here's what he did. I'm going to say that a he went back to Stophaven, found a one of Yugo's ships was destroyed. So he found a not a passkey but a code. Somehow found a code. So here's a info. Star Green mentions over the radio, over the comm, that he knows a code to get through that shield. So if you guys can't see it, it's right down here. So let me adjust my camera so you guys can see everything I'm writing. Okay, and also it's a new page too. So basically, Star Green tells Lex of the code. I won't say it was an abandoned ship. I want to say that he just picked it up through a transmission, most likely, when he was surveying the area around Planet Noble. Not Stophaven. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to backtrack on that one. A code while surveying the area. And Lex is like, well, obviously, I wouldn't expect anything less for you to come back with something at least. So at a certain point, we need to roll for this. This is going to be very difficult, I think. I'm going to say it's a 13, probably 15 even. Let's say it's a 15. It's hard. So we need to roll for us to use the code. Unfortunately, it does not have an advantage. Our backstory is that we're an orphan. We were adopted by Star Green, so he's practically our father. And our profession is transport, so nothing really gives us a help here. But it's a set difficulty, so we remove the GM's die. So we are rolling a straight d20 against a check, a set check, action check of 15. So here we go. We're going to try. Star Green lets us try the code. He sends it over to us as we're drifting, and it does not work. 12. So Lex tries the code, but it fails. And Star is not embarrassed, but he's kind of upset because he thought that it was the code. He thought he picked up something legit. So that's a problem. We need to find a way into the ship without alerting Yugo's fleet, and that docking area most likely is where Yugo, well, you know what we can do is go to Planet Noble. So Lex mentions that uh, what if we went to Noble to get a Yugo fighter? Maybe there's one camping out down there. So this is kind of turning into Return of the Jedi, I just realized. But to be honest, it's more of an, I guess it's just more of a coincidence or inspiration. But if we go to Noble, we can find a leftover Yugo ship because Yugo was stationed on Noble. Take the fly back up. We mentioned that. Let's roll to see if Star Green thinks it's a good idea because we also have a time constraint. All our allies are currently fighting for their lives out there, and the jammer's gone. So we're in a little conundrum here. I'm going to say that it's 50-50. I just don't know what Star Green's going to decide. Let's say 50% chance that Star Green likes the idea. 18, he does. Okay, so he does agree. Um, Star likes the idea, but more so, we need to tell Maximus. So Lex, I'm going to say Star this time, radios Maximus about the change in plans. Okay, the problem here is Maximus is currently a little bit occupied. Now, does he like the idea? We'll let Maximus answer. What we do need to roll is just the overall condition of the battle. How are the factions fending off all these fighters without the jammer now? Entirely without the jammer. So I'm going to say 50-50 chance here. Are the factions holding their own 50-50? They are 25. They are definitely holding their own. I'd say they probably took out a good number of fighters. So, oh yeah, we need to also roll to see what if Maximus agrees to the idea. I'd rather roll for that than just decide, hey, yes, he does. Does Maximus agree with the idea? 50-50. He doesn't. He doesn't want us to leave the area. He wants us to stay in case. So the factions are doing quite well. They're doing well. They're not doing great. They're doing well against the Yugo fighters, obviously. This is not the entire fleet. I think they're still outnumbered. But it's a big but here. Uh, Maximus does not agree with the plan. However, now, okay, all right. So I'll take a little water break. Does not agree with the plan. So we're at an impasse right now. Lex is trying to think of an alternative. Well, like, how do we get on the ship? Is there really a point to this? Should we continue our battle back the fleet? Star Green, I believe, he has something perhaps up his sleeve, and let's roll for that. Does Star Green have a trick up his sleeve to get through that shield? Let's see. 50-50 chance here. He does not. Star Green radio is quiet, and Lex is worried. So Star Green has no alternative plan because this is Yugo. They are an external force, and I think Star Green is out of ideas. Lex is thinking. He can't think of. I mean, we do have the engine core, which is highly unstable. So he thinks about that. He says, "Well, what about my experimental? What about my engine core? This thing is highly unique. It's old tech. What can it do?" So Lex quickly asks, maybe Maximus and Star are both on radio on comms. Maximus and Star in Green about his engine core. Could it be used for anything? It's a Hail Mary. It's like could my engine be done using anything? We launch the sucker into space, blow up the ship, the command ship. It's a possibility. So Maximus and Green are remaining rather quiet about it. They're not too sure. Star Green knows more about the engine because it used to be it used to be his engine or his ship. I don't recall the backstory correctly, but I'm going to say that Star Green used to it's his engine. It's his tech back then. So Star Green's about to answer, but all of a sudden a Yugo fighter shows up, comes out of the atmosphere of Planet Noble. Why? So suddenly, this is going to be a big branching moment. Suddenly, an identified, unidentified, if I can spell right, whatever, unidentified Yugo fighter flies to us from Noble's atmosphere. but it's going in the direction of the docking area. It's not a fighter. I shouldn't say it's a fighter. It's a Yugo transport. And we catch this moment. Lex sees it. Star sees it. Maximus obviously doesn't see it. He's on the comm. Lex sees. You see that? And he points. And there's just this casual cargo, this casual Yugo cargo ship flying from Planet Noble, just straight to the main command ships. Flies up, and our characters are right here. And it's docking. The shields go up. So uh, the shield goes up like a door. The Yugo transport docks. So Lex quickly, just out of just pure instinct, revs up his engines and flies into, leaving Star behind. So Lex quickly flies, still cloaked. We say cloaked. We still have that perk on. Cloaked, flies through. We have to do. We got to do a check here. I can't just say it happens. This isn't the AI dungeon. So I got to do a roll. This is piloting, so this will be a sum roll. Difficulty, I'd say it's probably 10. I think we're just close enough. So here we go. We got to beat 10. I got to beat 10. That was a very flat roll, but it did work. So 15, yeah, 12. So even with one, we are able to get through. And so Luck quickly flies cloaked through the dock and lands. He lands in an open spot. His ship is still cloaked. So I think his ship is still pretty big. But the problem is, actually, I'm not gonna say he lands. As he flies in, let's cross that out. I'm not. I don't think that's not where I wanted us to go. I don't think he lands per se. That would be smart. He flies in through a dock. He puts on turns on autopilot, sets a route back out, and then so he leaves the cockpit and jumps out his ship. He basically opens emergency hatch and he's going to jump out onto the docking bay. He and jumps out onto the dock. We're going to hide behind some crates. Hide behind some crates. I do apologize for my atrocious writing, but I'm not a good writer. I have very, very bad handwriting, so I should have to deal with that. Um, the ship, the Lexicon, turns around and flies back out the uh, the shield doors. So Lexicon exits the dock. We radio. So Lex radios. Lex radios Star. Tells him he got inside. And Star Green is shouting, "What kind of stunt was that?" So he's obviously worried, but he's also really he's obviously impressed. He's like, "What did you just do?" He's like, "I got in. I'm here. I'm in the dock." Well, not shouting. I was able to get. He's like, "I'm here." He's kind of whispering, shouting, "I'm here. I got inside." He says, "Yeah, I just saw your ship leave. My ship is on idle. It's going back to the fleet." So Lex's ship, the Lexicon, is en route back to the factions. Obviously, Star Speeder 5 is, I should say, orbiting Yugo command ship. And there you go. That's where we're going to end this episode. So this episode was not too bad. We got through a couple of line defenses, Yugo. Riley deserted us. A convenient Yugo cargo ship appeared and entered the dock. Lex, split second thinking, bolted in there and jumped out. Lexicon ships conveniently back out. So kind of a Hail Mary in the story, kind of an ass pull, but I wanted to get in that ship, and I think that was a cinematic. I think that was a pretty good way to get in there. So um, hopefully not playing favorites here with Lex, but I felt like that he got in. We did some rolls just to make it fair, but I think that was actually pretty fun. That was pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was episode 10, and I'll see you next time for more Sector Void.